Hi, I'm Hazel. It's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week, the big topic was Keystone Master for Season 2, moving from requiring a 15 in each key to a score-based system. We've known for a while about the Mythic Plus score coming to WoW in 9.1. It's effectively a native version of Raider.io. You'll gain score based on the key level and how well you timed it, as well as whether or not it was Tyrannical or Fortified. You need to do both to get a well-balanced score. So this new score required for Keystone Master means the way it averages out currently is that you would need to get a 15 of every dungeon in Tyrannical and Fortified, which is drastically different from the current model, where an awful lot of people, myself included, get their 15s on Fortified week, and then Tyrannical week, we just like log off. We do other things. So that's the first major effect of the change, is that you're no longer going to be able to skip every Tyrannical week, unless you want to do every key on Fortified on a 24 to compensate for it. The other side effect here is that while this will now require more dungeons done overall, it gets a little more flexible. I know I was not alone in the boat of having like a 17 Tyrannus Scythe timed, but then having a really difficult time getting a 15 in Sanguine Depths. And with this new system, I wouldn't have to. You're going to be able to compensate for a key that you can't quite time on a 15 by getting higher keys in other dungeons. So if there's one dungeon that just you really struggle with, or just nobody can ever get keys for, you don't necessarily have to if you can compensate for it in other areas. Overall, I'm personally not terribly upset with this. I think it's mostly fine. What it does, though, is it really highlights some of the issues with Tyrannical when you really sit down and confront the reaction that people have when being confronted with the fact that they're going to have to do dungeons on Tyrannical week. Begs the question of who is Tyrannical for, and what do we like about it, and do we like anything about it? Like, why is it that people skip Tyrannical weeks? If you ask me, I don't think it's the boss damage that's a problem. I think it's fine to have mechanics really matter and one-shot on Tyrannical weeks. I think that kind of spices it up a little bit and makes it more meaningful. But I think that they have still wildly too much health, and even if you do all of the mechanics correctly, it's just going to take you longer because of how much health the bosses have, even if you do it well and you don't wipe, and chances are you're much more likely to wipe with them being more difficult. There's just not enough time to really allow for it relative, like, Fortified does not make trash packs take nearly as much longer as Tyrannical makes boss fights take. I think in order to make it more reasonable, you would either need to cut a bunch of health off of the bosses, which is what I would prefer to see, or add more time to the timers on Tyrannical weeks. With this change, you're going to have a lot more data on how people do Tyrannical, because people are going to be needing to do them for their scores. So maybe they'll use that data to inform some tuning changes, or maybe people will just get so grumpy that they'll just think better of the whole Fortified Tyrannical thing. I don't mind it overall. I know that not everyone shares this take, but I think it is more interesting to have Fortified and Tyrannical in some form than just flat scaling every week after week after week. But I do think the current layout is just out of whack. Like, Tyrannical is just too hard right now. I do think it's going to be kind of nice to have less weeks be considered dead weeks. You know, being able to actually like find groups and run keys on more weeks than before, because in my experience, it's been more difficult to find people willing to play on Tyrannical weeks, because before you didn't have to. Anyways, moving on, the other big piece of news this week is that they have confirmed something we all guessed but didn't know for sure yet, and that's that BlizzCon 2021 has been canceled, or indeed was never really going to happen. That's not too surprising, even as the global conditions continue to improve. BlizzCon's just an event that takes so long to plan that it just would have been, like, they would have had to have started a long time ago when it was still very unsafe for them to do that. So they have confirmed there will be no in-person BlizzCon this year, but they are going to do another BlizzCon line like we had in February, next February, early in 2022. And then it remains to be seen if they're going to try to pull together an in-person convention for late 2022. We'll have to see. They did say when talking about the BlizzCon line for 2022 that they may do smaller in-person gatherings, and that could mean watch parties in different cities like they've done before. That could mean, what I'm kind of hoping it means is that if it's safe to do so, in-person LAN events for the esports, because that's always way more fun to watch. Even if the audience can't be there, having the esports competitors, be all physically present with cameras and interviews and the LAN setup is always like a lot more fun and exciting to watch. So I hope they can get that off the ground, assuming that it is safe, but we will have to see. And that's pretty much it for major WoW news. We had Sylvanas heroic raid testing this week, so I got to see at least the first phase of that. That seems like a fun fight. Melee aren't very happy about it, but Melee tend to be grumpy about a lot of things, and I would like to be more sympathetic to their plight. I just don't play Melee, so I don't understand. We're only a couple of days away from Classic TBC at this point, so that's going to come out. That's going to dominate the news cycle for 3-4 weeks or so. Longer than that if you're interested in Classic stuff, but I wouldn't anticipate seeing anything just like about 9.1 release until kind of early July. So we're kind of coasting until then. In my life this week, I've taken the patch gap opportunity to level a new alt. I have a Mechanome Fire Mage now that is level 60, and I've started gearing her. And it has been a lot of fun to get into dungeons and get my legendary and get my Covenant stuff all set up, and then find out just how many different ways I can ruin combustion. You know, I read the guides and I look at the charts and I practice on target dummies and I have a great plan, and then I get into combat and I press the combust button and my brain just exits my skull, and then I donate all 3 Fire Blast charges at once, and then I know what I've done. So that's gonna take some more work, but I got some time. The only other thing I'm really doing is I'm actually working on transitioning back to playing WoW on a keyboard from playing WoW on an Orb Weaver. The Orb Weaver is fine, and I still think it's a superior form of gameplay, especially in terms of movement being on the joystick, but that particular model has just been discontinued and it's no longer supported by the latest software, and I'm just kind of annoyed with having to mess with the older software and having the extra thing on my desk. I could switch to a Tartarus, but I just don't really want to, so I'm getting slowly reacclimated to playing WoW on a keyboard, which is something that I have not done for many, many years, so that's a project. And questions from this week. Jimmy wants to know, have you named any of your pets after your actual kitty cat? This one? Yeah, of course. I have my silver tabby cat in-game is named Kira after this one. I don't pull it out very much, and I wonder why. I should. Huh. Do you feel underrepresented? I do have to pay her royalties for her screen time, though, and that's all fine and good for one video a week, but if I start including her in streams, it might turn into more than I can afford. And Driller Killer asks, I finished upgrading Covenant stuff and I'm about to cap on Anima, luxury problem. I don't know what to spend it on. What is the best or most lucrative way to spend Anima, mounts, mogs, other stuff? So for the most part, Anima is pretty much just for cosmetics. So if you want them, then purchase them. They're just for you. If you don't want them, then don't worry about it. Although, you know, if you're going to cap, you may as well buy something. The only way that you can currently turn Anima into gold that I am aware of that works now is via the mission table. So spending Anima on running those expensive missions to get runes, you can sell the runes, you can get mats and sell those, you can get reputation, which eventually converts into Paragon caches, which have gold. You can get just straight gold missions done, and maximizing those, just running them all the live long day, is basically the only way to convert Anima into gold. You used to be able to purchase Covenant armor on the vendor and either disenchant or vendor it, but they have fixed that now. So I think you're just stuck with the mission table if you're trying to cash it out. I would just buy some of the stuff though, you know, it's pretty. And Aiden asks, sifting through here, wants to know, should I start stockpiling Anima, Soul Ash, Stygia, and Valor for 9.1? So I'm going to go through those 4 currencies kind of one at a time. For Anima, the only new thing for Anima that I have personally found on the PTR is the 7,500 Anima that you spend for a recolored version of your new Covenant mount. I can't find anything else. I went and looked at the Covenant vendors and they didn't have anything else new other than that. So that's the one that I found. I may have missed something, but it seems like 7,500 Anima for that. But it's a cosmetic recolor of a mount. It's not like urgent, so I wouldn't worry about grinding Anima, especially because you're going to get it anyways when you're doing new keys for Season 2. As far as Soul Ash goes, Soul Ash, you're going to want that if you want more legendary options. For example, if one of the new 9.1 legendaries is optimal for you. By and large, it looks like they're not. The new Covenant legendaries don't seem terribly strong, which is probably for the best, but begs the question of why they've done them. So Soul Ash is for more legendary options or legendaries for your alts. However, I still wouldn't recommend grinding it now because you're going to get it 80% faster in 9.1 and you're going to get it anyways, like while you're grinding the new Soul Cinders to get your stuff past rank 4. And Soul Ash will not get any legendary past rank 4. It gets new ones and then gets them up to rank 4 and then that's it. And you're going to get a ton of it in 9.1 anyway, so don't worry about Soul Ash. Stygia is used for new cosmetics. So if you want the new mounts and stuff, you'll want some Stygia for that. It is also used to purchase Korthian armaments, which are BOA item level 200 pieces of catch-up gear for a random slot. So if you have a lot of alts and item level 200 gear would be an upgrade for them, then you might want a bunch of Stygia, so that as soon as you get friendly with Death's Advance, you can buy a bunch of those pieces, send them to your alts, and have everybody get a leg up. So that is something you could do if your alts need that gear. And then Valor is a tricky one, because 99% of the time, whenever they've done a new season, they've either reset Valor or they have dramatically increased the costs of Valor upgrades to disincentivize grinding Valor. Like, they make it so that it's not worth grinding Valor in the old season because of how much more you need. Like, sometimes they just quintuple how much you get and how much you need in the next season. I haven't seen that yet. Maybe I've missed it. But on the 9.1 PTR so far, I have not seen a reset and I have not seen any cost increases. They could be coming, or I could have missed them. I would be very surprised if they don't do one of those two things, because they generally want to disincentivize the behavior of people. Hey, excuse you. What's wrong? Did you want to grind Valor? I've never seen them allow people to benefit from stockpiling Valor before a patch, so I'm not worrying about it, but I also have yet to see the confirmation that they're going to do that, so that one's kind of up in the air, although I would be shocked if they don't do something. And that has been the week. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions you would like me to answer in a news video, please leave them in the comments of the most recent one and include the word question to help me find it. Thanks very much, guys. Best of luck and have fun to anybody gearing up for Classic TBC. Should be a good time. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.